Greetings, this is TimeRider. This is a special edition video in honor of the fact that it's Monday and it's raining. Cody and I are hunkered in, riding it out. You'll actually see this on Tuesday, but it's Monday for me. Today I'm going to do a short resto of the 20C Impala Taxi, which a lot of people might ask why I did it, and my answer would be because. I've had a few short videos in a row, so I decided to put forth an extended version of the bench, and I'm going to cover a lot of what's going on in my little shop in pretty fair detail compared to what I might normally do. So stick around. Mine was in, it's in okay condition. It had so many flea bites on it, and I know you can't see it very well here, but the finish of the paint was really dirty, and any luster it had was gone. Mine had the metal base, so it was an earlier release, but there was a really early release that didn't have the tow hook, but mine does. The model was held together with, the two rolled over posts, very common to full-size Lesney models. The 20C is modeled after the 1965 Chevrolet Impala, which is actually kind of weird because back in the day, 99.99999% of the cabs in the United States were made by Checker Motors. I don't think I've ever seen one of these except maybe in a movie. A little bit of struggle getting that back post off. That's all right. I did get it apart without wrecking the doggone thing. And then I had to get the glass piece out. There was a little blem in the one part of the glass, but I'm just going to reuse it. The Impala itself was produced 3 times by Chevrolet, from 1957 to 85, then again from 94 to 96 when it was an excellent squad car. You're flattening off these, I like to do that and grind the burr off. I want the whole thing to assemble very easily. And then, of course, they're making them now. They started making them again in 2000. And they're still making them. And my 1/16 inch Milwaukee brand titanium bit. I love these things. I just got 2 of them in the mail. Throw a little oil on there so I can tap this hole out. Lesney produced the casting from 65 to 69, and while it was always yellow, the earlier ones were that more orangish yellow, and the last year they switched to lemon yellow. You get a button screw in there because I got to put it together somehow, right? Interiors cream or red, and the word taxi decal changed to a sticker in the later castings. I must not have gone far enough, so give it one more try with the button screw. The really rare ones, the ones you're really looking for, either have gray wheels, which is like the first ones they made, or there's transient combinations like there's a lot of times with Matchbox where, they switch the interior, and then there's some that are produced with an unusual interior wheel combination. And nope, that's not new stripper. I just had to top it off. I lose a little bit of stripper every time I do something, so let's give it a shake for luck and move on. Mine, is just a garden variety casting that they made millions and millions of. I don't have the box. It cost me a whopping $2.85, which ought to explain to anybody why I'm doing this. I just want it to look nice on the shelf. I got a lot of castings like that I'll probably refinish at some point in time, even though they're not particularly damaged. They just don't look very good, and I see them all the time in way, way, way better condition. So for those out there who think it ought to be kept original, well, it's $3 worth of original. I love the backs of these things. You know, that was very Chevy trademark for a really long period of time. You know, if you had a Biscayne, it had 2 lights, or a Bel Air would have 2 lights, and the Impalas and the Caprices would have 3, depending on, you know, the year you're talking about, because they didn't make all models all years. So I know that I primed this with Duplicolor because I put a light coat on. The Duplicolor primer is much thinner. I actually kind of like it because it comes on so thin that you can really control it. You have to sometimes put a second coat on, but man, it really maintains the detail and does a great job. And this yellow, I actually keep this mixed because Lesney uses it on a lot of stuff. It's basically just Tamiya lemon yellow with just a little bit of red into it. They use it on a lot of their construction vehicles. And throw a tack coat on, and now I'm working my way into some heavier coats, building up that natural shine that you get. You gotta take the time to do it. But in the end, it pays off. And got to clean those plastic pieces, you know. Got a little guy there who's still attached, which is great. And a tow hook still intact, which is, you know, also great on this particular casting. So that's just water. I don't even have any soap in it. And then I bought this little polisher, and I love it. It's really light, but it operates at really low speeds, and it does a great job on windshields. I use it to polish castings. Does a great job on that. It was really a worthwhile investment. I got it on Amazon. And me, I always like to start in the middle. You know, that way you don't accidentally put too much paint and have it ruin your finish. You'll wind up doing that sometimes anyway, like right there. And yeah, I speeded it up a little bit. I don't paint that fast. And I don't have any footage of me putting the decal on. It wasn't all that complicated. I did finish the whole thing off, though, with some Tamiya X35 semi-gloss clear, trying to get that natural-looking finish from the day. And then here is where I wind up. Personally, I love it. I didn't paint the base at all. I just polished. It had the raw metal base. It's not a particularly complicated casting, but sometimes those can be the hardest because, man, if you have any flaws. But anyway, there you have it. The Matchbox number 20C Chevrolet Impala Taxi. And stick around for a version of the bench. It's going to be a long version. I got a lot of things I want to show you guys. This is TimeRider. And I'll leave the light on for you. Hey, thanks for sticking around for this extended edition of The Bench. First off, I want to do a little primer review. I use primers, and if you don't, I won't take a lot of your time. But I use primer because it improves adhesion and fills in small faults in the casting. These die casts aren't made of hardened steel. So unlike the manufacturer, a restoration artist is generally dealing with something that's been played with, and it's a less than perfect surface. Tamiya primer is about $14 US on Amazon. I get free shipping because I'm a Prime member. Duplicolor, that's only $8.50 at the auto parts store, and it's twice the volume of the Tamiya. It lays on a little thinner, and as I've said, I kind of like the control that provides. I have a project where I needed some black primer. I got this at Menards. I already know it's not advertised as sandable primer and automotive primer, so don't blow up my comments, but it was $3, so I figured what the heck. I can tell you that it was fairly thick, and I'll cover that a little bit later because it wasn't very smooth either. And the worst part is man, it comes off like tar paper. So this morning I swung by the auto parts store here in downtown Annandale, Minnesota, United States, and got myself some Duplicolor black. Yeah, I swapped some emails with George about the downside of doing too many things at once, which I'll also show you here in a bit. But, you know, the thing is while I'm waiting for things to cure and whatnot, I have a bunch of projects going on at the same time. And right now, that's part of the reason I'm doing simple restorations, because I have some customs that are, you know, just taking a lot of time. And this 40 Ford right here, of course, is one of them. And I got it polished down. I was thinking about maybe doing Spectre Flame on it. And if you look at this little piece right here, man, the doggone casting line was so thick there. I don't know if I can get it smooth. And then also, if you look at the nose closely, there's an area here where there's a discoloration that will show through Spectre Flame. And so I'll probably, you know, shoot something else. And I was playing with purples, and here it is. And if you look really closely at this, you can see how rough the paint is. That's not the paint, that's that primer that I tried underneath it. And then I tried a couple of other purples along the way. One of them is kind of an experiment with some overcoating, and the second one is a Createx product. So here's something else that I kind of been picking at for a while, is this van. And what I've been doing is I've been flaring it out a little bit. I was inspired by the 70s van build-off. So I'm putting something together with my van. Then people ask me all the time about my airbrush, what I use. Well, I don't use a double action airbrush. I use a single action. There's a lot of people that do this kind of stuff with rattle cans, and of course the drawback there is the pressures and volumes, and of course the inability to mix colors. But really, I don't think that I need that kind of control to do what we're doing here, and all it ever did was make my fingers sore anyway. These are mine, and the master I bought first because I wasn't sure if I was going to like this particular solution, and it was only about $35 or something like that. And then once I figured out that that was the direction I wanted to go, I bought the Iwata Revolution HPM1, which is, as you probably know, is a fairly expensive airbrush. The thing is there's nothing really in the middle that I could find in single action. The pot on the Iwata is kind of small, but I don't mind. It does wonderful work. And I usually use the master if I'm doing like enamels or something, because it's a little easier to clean. The pot, you can see the pot comes off. So now let's get into the, Lee screwed up department and take a look at this 20E Roll-O-Matic that I'm doing for one of my subscribers. And I was all done. One thing, I did have to reuse the super fast wheels. They're really tough to restore. I just cleaned them up and I redid the silver in the middle. But anyway, I wound up touching it with something. I don't know what. I was all done. I was putting it on the table. And now I'm back to the primer stage. And you know what? That's what happens sometimes. And that's why George says I shouldn't do so many things at once. Hey, and check out the paint on this 1957 Chevy truck. No primer under that, that's for sure. I'm going to do something with this, though, and I just wanted to show it to you. You probably won't see it again until, like, September or something. And here's a car that I did kind of a long time ago, and it was unremarkable, and I never did a video on it. Well, I decided I'm going to do something else with it, so I just thought I'd give you a look at it before I start yakking about this other project that I'm working on, that I'm actually really excited about. And through my research so far, I have found out that this car is actually called an Iso Grifo, and that, like we Westerners do, we anglicize everything and pronounce it the way we think it ought to be pronounced, and ignore the conventions of the Romance language from which it came. I was, I don't know if any of you watch Netflix, but I was watching this, I think it's Rust River Restorers. And the old guy on there says, you put inflated tires on anything and it looks better than it did. And I think that's true. So here you go. Here's my Iso Grifo with inflated tires. I think this is a really special model. I've found out a lot about it, and I want to do a really special job. So I have it apart, because that's actually a pretty easy part. And I've been filing on casting lines because I want to get rid of them as best I can. You can see a couple spots here on the back side of the door and the top of that window where I was filing off some flashing. I want to get this casting as pristine as I can get it before I start laying paint on it. And then the interior here, if you look at it, this is actually modeled after actual images of an Iso Grifo that I found on the internet, how the color is laid out. And I painted it this color, and then I did a brown wash, which you can see here is basically just like a tire wash, only I'm using brown paint instead of black paint, of course. And then all I really have left is I want to finish this area right here, especially the handle and the bar from the e-brake. And we'll get going on this one. I'm hoping to have it, if not this Saturday, a week from this Saturday. So hang on for that. And the last thing here that I don't want to show you, because this probably will be my video on Saturday, and I don't want to ruin the surprise. You may be able to guess what it is from the blurry image, but so I'm working on that, and I gotta tell you, I've got some other projects going on that I really didn't show you here. Some of them I've looked at as kind of like long-term things, and hopefully I'll keep you guys entertained, and of course myself as well. So on a personal note, I would like to end this video just by saying, I never thought 6,000 people would be interested in watching me do this, and I appreciate that you come and watch me on my journey. And if I seem a little salty sometimes, it's because I'm a little salty sometimes. But all in all, I am just a retired guy, trying to find something non-destructive to do at this time. So everybody have a great week.